finally realizing that we're actually in Star Wars.
The second you walk into a Star Wars set, your stomach sort of drops and you're like, oh my God, I'm in Star Wars.
I never thought of being part of this universe at all. You know, I was just a fan, and one day I got a call and I thought it was going to be a one thing in my life, and I shared it with my kids and I saw it and I was ready to, you know, move on. And then I was invited to this and it made complete sense. I had so much more to say and to do with this role.
Wouldn't you rather give it all at once to something real?
It's utterly surreal. I watched Star Wars when I was 6 years old, and as soon as I knew that somebody had made Star Wars, I knew that I wanted to be that person.
And you know that you're being a part of something so much bigger than you. And Toby had that every single day. Like, there wasn't a day that he was like, oh my God, this is amazing, this is so cool. And I think you could see in his approach to every scene, I think he approaches every scene with fresh eyes, and I think he really just wants to do a great job for the fans because he is a fan.
They're everywhere. There's a new spy every day at the Senate. I visit the bank, they're all new faces.
I love that I got the opportunity to come and investigate this woman, to explore this woman. I love that Tony Gilroy and Disney have invested time and narrative space in this woman.
I love when a director lets me see my work. I love being part of that process. And he showed me that when she was moving a lot, all her power, I was diluting everything. And he said, just try maybe putting your hands behind your back. And so I did the scene with my arms like this, and then I watched that and I was like, oh my God, Ben, the simplest thing. And so then it just became, Dedra stays in this really uniformed position.
And it's a similar thing for Cyril. I mean, as he goes home, you get introduced to his mother and see, you know, why he became the person that he does, and that appearances are kind of everything. But also, a different director, Toby Haynes, he just made an offhand comment before we'd even started filming. We were using a reference photo to try and figure out hairstyles and stuff. He's like, I like this one because it looks like you're chewing on a wasp. And I was like, that's it. Like, everything about Cyril is just contained in.
Look back just months ago when you could easily ignore me. Imagine I'd cracked under the weight of your neglect. Imagine I'd cracked and wasn't here now to pick up the pieces.
I was on this incredibly detailed, wonderful, amazing set that had been built. It's like 8 acres long and like
360.
Completely 360. You can go anywhere, anything can be filmed.
Yes.
Every single nook and cranny had just been completely detailed.
My primary collaborator, honestly, is Luke Hull. Luke and I had been working on the show for 4 or 5 months before we even had the room. Building Ferrex, building the worlds, doing the thing. What can we do? I mean, that's my first call.
I sort of assumed, because it's science fiction, I sort of assumed there's a lot of green screen, it will all be, you know. And then I got to, like, one of my first days was in this like town that they built. And I was walking around thinking, oh my God, this is amazing, the attention to detail. And I thought, okay, well, let me have a look in the cupboards. I mean, I'm sure in the cupboards there'll be like lighting and all of that. And actually, you open the cupboards and there's, you know, bowls full of blue noodles. And you go into the bar area and it's all built.
That set is so beautiful. The architecture of Luke Hull's design is stunning. The joy of that as an actor to play. We were like kids in a playground on that set.
It's like when you're a kid and you have to use your imagination to build these things, and then you get to be, you know, 40 and walking around dressed up in an Imperial officer's uniform on a set that has been built for you to play on. I mean, it was absolutely, it's mind-blowing
the attention
what they did.
To detail and the intricacy of the sets,
yeah,
the props, the costumes were like nothing I or you had ever experienced.
Ferrex is a great example because I had to build Ferrex in my mind and a whole ideology and cultural identity for Ferrex. We have to build everything, so it's not even out of luxury, it's out of necessity. So Luke is in that room, and Danny and Bo, and Zana, the producer, is there a lot. So the show is actually being built in front of the people who are going to be making it.
You need work this bad.
Leave him out of it.
He said all I needed to do was stand here.
Moen makes sure that everything that we do looks like it came from a camera. We don't ever have a visual effect that doesn't have a potential camera position or a lens to it. It looks like it comes from us, you know? And that's, you see a lot of films where they just don't care. It's like, oh, we can do this, and we can do this, and we can do this. Well, whose perspective is it? What is it? Whose point of view is that? I mean, we're doing a show and it's gonna be real. I mean, we're gonna, you know, try and make a real show.
Put it down or give it back.
It is important to understand why a rebellion, it's built, and why that articulation happens is because you have to understand what life was like in times of oppression and in times of where in those dark times where the Empire had complete control. Oh. You have to understand what life is like, and I love that Tony goes like, let's do a very realistic show of what that life looks like.
That's your name, isn't it? If not, the resemblance, well, it's striking.
Get this whole piece, run!
Get her!
Thrillers are always people under pressure. But what's great is all of the outer problems, all of the outer pressures that weigh down on people expose all of the other problems that they have and heighten all the problems that they have in their lives. And in a thriller, that's the buy-in from the beginning. I can't imagine writing black and white. I believed in every villain I've ever written. You really got to believe in them. You got to love them, and you got to know why they're doing it. You got to feel for it, and there has to be a reason for it. You got to get behind everybody. If we can't do something new and completely different, we're not doing it. If we can't find a way to do something really revolutionary and disruptive and completely fresh, then we won't do it. We have to find a way. That's always the mandate on all this. If we can't come up with the Eye of Aldani, then we're not going to do it.
He allowed me to read some scripts, and I read the scripts, and I was like, this guy can write, man. This is insane. I'm not even in these episodes, and I want to know what happens. And then he told me what I was gonna do, and I thought, yep, I'll do that. If Tony Gilroy is writing anything, I'm happy to be at that party. Like, he's pretty special.
Anyone doesn't want to hustle for the next 10 minutes, raise your hand.
Yeah, and he was also taking Star Wars to a completely different territory from what I knew before. And so when I read those scripts, I was like, oh, wow, man, socio-political drama that's also a thriller and a love story and also all this stuff and also Star Wars.
Struggling to understand why my faith doesn't calm me. I believe in something. Why am I so unsettled? I mean, you have nothing. You sleep like a stone.
It's fascinating to me to go, how does that happen? How often do you have to fail before you realize you have to affect change in a different way, to rescind the status quo, to drop everything, and to join a rebellion?
It is. If you hear that, it's not about what happens; it's about how it happens, and that's an amazing approach to storytelling. You know, because it's about depth, it's about real people, it's about the experience of the characters.
And there was this crowd milling about and stuff, and they parted, and then there was this line of 30 stormtroopers. And I hadn't seen any up until that point, and it just was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I mean, Star Wars, actually.
Star Wars means a lot. It's such a beautiful feeling to be part of something that means so much to so many, you know?
There will be times when the struggle seems impossible. I know this already. Alone, unsure, dwarfed by the scale of the enemy. Freedom is a pure idea. It occurs spontaneously and without instruction. The imperial need for control is so desperate because it is so unnatural. Tyranny requires constant effort. It breaks. It leaks. Authority is brittle. Oppression is the mask of fear. These moments of defiance will have flooded the banks of the Empire's authority, and then there will be one too many. One single thing will break the siege.
Oh my God.